Hello and welcome to another Project Life process video. This footage was actually filmed quite some time ago. I think it was September 28th that I completed these pages, so bear with me if my memory is poor as I narrate this one. I try to not have such a big gap in between when I do a page and when I narrate it, so my apologies ahead of time. As you can see, I am starting this process with my photos already printed up. I have some that are printed at 4x6, some are printed at a little bit less than 3x4, and then I have one that you can see there that is a horizontal small photo that is printed at 2x3. And so what I do is I usually start with these templates, which are just pieces of cardstock that I have drawn out to replicate a Becky Higgins Design A page. And I am using a Ali Edwards kit here. It's probably the August kit because these are August photos, the Stories by the Month kit. And I also sometimes pull from the Stories kit as well, but I don't think I did for this particular one. So as you can see, I'm going through, those are actually my stash of leftover Ali Edwards cards from before. I ran out of 4x6 cards for this page, so I just went into my own stash to get a little bit more. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of how I choose my cards. So that's why I adjusted my camera so that you could see this. The little chunk of cards that I'm holding there are my Ali Edwards 3x4 leftover cards from previous kits. I keep the Ali Edwards cards separate in their own little category, both the 4x6 and the 3x4s, because they tend to work really well together. And so they're always my first go-to place when I'm missing cards and need to dip into my stash, is I tend to reach for those first. And as you can see, I was able to fill all of my gaps with just those cards. I didn't have to go into my general stash, which is organized by color. And you probably noticed all the tabs there with colors on them. That just tells me which color is in which area of my Project Life sorting container. These are some of the embellishments that came with the Ali Edwards kit that month. They are a series of triangular wood veneer pieces, and I'm just kind of auditioning them in a bunch of different places. I like to place them so that they're going in different directions just for some interest. And by the way, the container that my Project Life cards were in, as you saw them there, that was a close to my heart medium-sized storage box. They don't make them anymore, but I just removed the lid from mine so that it would sit in the top of my Rascog. So as you can see, I'm actually working with some leftover cards from the July and August kits as well from Ali Edwards, and I just have a couple of pieces of ephemera here, some stickers from some things that I had bought. Oh, I'm sorry that it's out of focus. I hope that it focuses again. So yeah, I'm going to be scrapbooking these 3 photos together as a group because they're all from the same story. So I'm going to start by grabbing my Ali Edwards pigment ink. The color I have here is Astoria. And pigment ink is really nice because it sits on top instead of soaking into whatever you're stamping. That's a good thing and a bad thing. So the good thing is that the color remains really, really vibrant. But the bad thing is that it takes a really, really long time for it to dry, especially relative to dye ink. So I would like all of these little triangular banner pieces made out of wood. I want them all to coordinate with one another. So I'm going to ink them all in the same Astoria ink. Again, that's an Ali Edwards ink pad that I have. And then I'm just going to place them aside to dry. And this is just a non-stick pad that I use for that sometimes. And then this is my vintage typewriter that I'm pulling out. And I'm going to type on a piece of craft paper some of the journaling that I want to do for this series of cards. So I'm typing out here, Sophie and I took a walk along the rails to trails. We explored some paths, then had ice cream at Kavici's. I think it's Kavicki's, actually. It is. It's Kavicki's. I knew that sounded wrong when I said it. Which is a local little, it's actually a meat shop slash restaurant slash pizza place slash ice cream shop. It's kind of like whatever we need it to be, I guess. It's a little community place that in an area where we don't really have many restaurants. So it's actually really, really nice to have, but I had never gone to it, although all of my neighbors rant and rave about it. This was my first time going. So now I'm just going to trim these down into strips using my trimmer here. This is a Fiskars small guillotine trimmer, and I got this actually Close to My Heart sent it to me, so thank you to them for that. I really love this trimmer because it's so lightweight, and it's perfect for project life or pocket scrapping or any kind of small projects. It's also really good for card making as well. So I trimmed those down into strips, and now I'm going to place them on my photos. I basically want to, I really love this photo, but I think it's going to look awesome with these craft colored, because I used craft paper here just for a change. I tend to do my journaling on white strips when I do it. So it's for a change, but also I felt like the craft paper really worked with the natural kind of theming on this photo, and it picks up on the sand color on the foreground of the photo as well. So I'm just using my Tombow Mono Aqua Glue, which is my favorite my favorite wet glue for gluing paper to paper. I really like Tombow Mono Multi for gluing paper to non-paper, but this does the trick for paper to paper. And as you can see, I just arranged those little strips so that they told the story with a little gap in the center that shows the subject, which is my daughter Sophie, kind of halfway down that path. And now I'm just taking my .005 pen, which is my thinnest pen that I have. It's a Prisma marker, and I'm just outlining around the edges of that. Not sure if you can see that, but I just like the addition of those little outlining marks. They just make it look nice and casual. So as you can see, I'm using my Tombow Mono Multi here to glue the wood veneer, which is now dry, to the photo there. And so now these three are ready to go into the pockets. So this is what I do. I kind of pull it over, work on it, and then put it back on the template when I'm ready. Now here's another one of those wood veneers that I inked up pink, and I'm just going to put it right here on this photo of the little excavator thing in my backyard. And I have a story to tell about that as well, but I'll narrate it when I get to the point where I'm writing it. So I'm going to put these two tags. Now I have these tags that are, they're label sticker or label die cuts, I guess, that I had pulled out wanting to use up. They're kind of loose, and I've been keeping them in my stash loose for a while, and it's time to get them on these pages. So my goal here is to use them up. So my journaling here says, Scott asked these guys who were working down the street to come help with our hot tub pad. He was doing some shoveling, and it seemed like he was having some difficulty, and it turned out there was a ginormous rock that absolutely could not be moved by one person. In fact, this little excavator could barely move it. So we were lucky to have these guys just around. We paid them to come and do this, and it was incredibly helpful. We had been kind of trying to do it by, like, kind of on our own by hand, but there's no shame in asking for help when it comes to a couple of £1,000-pound boulder that you encounter. Oh, God. So this is a photo. I'm not sure if you can tell because it's so tiny, but it is the different bowls of, Liv was making air fryer pickles, and we had to kind of dip them in something and then dip them in egg yolk and then dip them in something else. And so that was what she had laid that out, and I just kind of grabbed a photo of it just to capture that moment. I like to capture whenever they create things. So this is from a Kelly Perky stamp set, and I'm taking 2 stamps from this one set, It's I'm taking the one that says homemade and then the bigger one that says yum. And this stamp set is called Bon Appetit. It's an older one. It used to be it was a Simon Says stamp exclusive for her. It's probably from like 5 or 6 years ago. And so I'm using washi tape to hold these down just because I find that sometimes the magnets will stick together and are a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to use the washi tape for this. And I am going to stamp it a couple of times because I had actually written the word yum and then I wanted to stamp the word yum and I just stamped right over it, and you can barely tell that I had written that word. You can tell if you look close enough, but from a distance you can't really tell. Now I'm going to use some red ink or pink ink actually, to stamp out the word homemade. And these are my Lawn Fawn dye inks. The one that I'm using here is called Bubblegum. And they're my go-to inks these days. I really like how small they are. I love that I can store them in these little tiny tins. And the amount that I use dye inks, I really don't need full-size ink pads. And so I have retired my Stampin' Up! Ink pads. I had I think 75 of them, and I also had the spinny thing. And I'm going to sell it. It's hard to find a buyer because, I don't know, it's a high price item, but and it's big and it's bulky and it needs to be shipped and that sort of thing, but I'm going to hang on to it until I find a buyer. So here is how I store my embellishments. I just dragged the whole drawer out. It's just beside me, so it's easy enough to pull it out and put it right up here. It helps me to, audition different pieces. I really would love to get one of these rubber pieces or an acrylic piece. It's not July, so I'm not going to use the July piece. But I just want something here. And then this cork star really kind of spoke to me, so I'm going to put the cork star there. I just needed something to fill that black space. It looks kind of unpleasant, so there's that. That card isn't done yet. I'm going to come back to that one. So now I'm going to do some journaling on this one that says, thankful for this month. Again, all of these cards are Ali Edwards, unless if I tell you otherwise, from the June, July, and August kits, stories by the month. So what I'm writing here is, we spent a lot of time digging out the hot tub pad, but it's a good thing Scott got a mini excavator to come in because they found 2 giant rocks we could never move by hand. And so those 2 cards go together up in the corner there, the thankful for this month card and then the excavator card. And now here's a photo of Scott and Nixie, and Nixie's actually drinking from his water glass. We have a very spoiled cat who really loves iced water in a glass. She will not drink water from a bowl anymore. She just likes it from a glass. So I put this label that says Nixie loves a tall glass of ice water. And that card isn't done yet either, but I'm going to leave it for now. I kind of do my project life in waves. So first I'll just get the essentials down, and then I'll move on. I'll come back to things sometimes and add little embellishments. So these cork pieces just pick up on the other cork piece that's already on this card, and I just felt like it finishes off that card quite a bit better than just leaving it with that empty space at the top of homemade. I trimmed down the cork piece, and just do that carefully so that the cork doesn't crumble apart when you do it. There are so many triangle pieces in these chipboard pieces and the embellishments that come with these kits, and so I really wanted to use them. I kind of struggle a little bit with triangular pieces as opposed to circles and rectangles and squares, but I'm trying to work with them. So this one says This Story, and it's a really beautiful dark green, and I like how it kind of blends into the trees in the background. We decided to take our picture in front of these beautiful birch trees, so I didn't want to cover those or anything. And now here's another one of those triangular pieces. It says Love August, and I'm just putting it so it kind of points down at the journaling. It's a little strange there, but I think it works okay. I have a variety of different stickers and chipboard pieces that I'm just working with over the course of both these August pages, this August page, and also the July page, which was the last thing that I scrapbooked on my channel here. Again, this was all back in August, or sorry, in July. Oh, it was all back in September that I was scrapbooking both of these pages. The July page that you saw right before this one and this one. So this is a sticker from the Cause box that I get. It was my last box, so I wanted to keep the sticker. It's just one of those lifestyle boxes that they send you, and I felt like the design of this lady, which I love, this style of artwork. I don't know what this is called, but it was just kind of getting lost on the background of that page. So I just did a little bit of outlining, just following the lines of the sticker itself. And because the sticker is a slick surface, I used my Lumocolor pen by Staedtler, which is my favorite slick surface pen. I find that they last forever and ever and ever, and they're really good quality pens that don't smudge at all. So this flag that I'm putting here says just relax, and this one says goodbye summer, and these are photos of our PEI trip. Now I did do an entire section in my travel project life dedicated to my PEI trip, and it's several pages long. It might be 5 or 6 pages, and so my purpose here is just to mark the trip in my regular project life so that I don't forget that we went. It was really, really hard. I would have liked to have narrowed it down to 2 or 3 photos, but I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, just because we did so many different things, partially because we were just coming out of lockdown and knew that we'd be going back into a lockdown pretty soon. So we were just kind of trying to make the most of what we could. So I just did some journaling on this card, which was a 4x6 card that I covered over with most of it with the photo. And it just says recreating a photo at Cavendish Boardwalk. And then there's this kind of diptych photo here of my girls when they were very young in 2009 and again in 2020, and the date. And I'll come back and do some embellishing on that. And now this is a photo that we took at our good friend's house, she's a good friend of ours, although one of those kind of friendships where we don't really talk a whole lot in between seeing each other, but whenever we go to the island, we always pop in and visit her and her son. So I wanted to make sure that I got this photo in my project life as well as in my travel page. It's actually probably more important that it's in my project life than that it's in my travel pages, because it's more of this is more part of our life than our travel. So it says a stop in to see Sandra and Sam is a must when we visit the island. And then that little chipboard piece down there says joy and relaxation. Then below it, I just put a simple chipboard sticker that says so darn fun, and I wrote Sandspit PEI. And now for this one, I'm going to add a little label, and I just tried to tuck it up underneath of the wood veneer the best that I could and glued it in place. And I put, but the beach was too cold to relax, because it says just relax. And I said, but the beach is too cold to relax. And now in this photo, I'm just putting this right now chipboard piece. And this photo, which is not part of our trip, I'm adding another one of those chipboard triangles. It says the stuff of life. And now I'm going to do my journaling here. It says crusher dust and sand has been compacted with a machine rented from Bay Rentals, all set for our elusive hot tub. But where is the hot tub? With 4 question marks. Because we had been waiting. We bought it in early June, and this is August. We're still, we're taking our time preparing for it because it seems pretty clear that it's not coming anytime soon. I'm adding this sticker that says love this, and I'll just outline it with my Lumocolor pen. Oops, I guess I'll do that in a few minutes. My journaling here says, the summer cause box marks the end of my subscription. I've loved receiving a box of ethically sourced home and beauty products. These are things I'd rarely buy myself, a bit of a fun splurge, plus items make good gifts. I guess I should have said plus the items make good gifts. I must have been rushing. So I'm going to underline my journaling, which I do on all of my journaling this time around in Project Life. So for 2020 and I think 2019, I did this too. Just so it all has a very cohesive look, and I think it gives a nice kind of casual handmade look too when you have your own kind of handwriting underlines. I do sometimes take the time to make out perfect lines, but I like this kind of underlining. Now I'm going to spread these cork pieces all throughout the page. I already have a couple on the Yum card over on the left-hand side, so now I'm just going to put a couple over here on the right-hand side, every here and there, as you see. And that's about it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry for no photos at the end. I completely forgot to take the pictures, but I hope that you enjoyed this quicker process video anyways. Take care and have a really great scrappy week, and check out these links if you want to see any more videos from me. Thanks.